For the millionth time, Nazis are not socialist. Found out why on this edition of New Socialist Era. Bringing it to you as I always do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment down below, leave a like, and all that wonderful goodness. But in today's little edition of New Socialist Era, I really wanted to point out that, again, Nazis are not socialist. Even though I understand it's in the name, National Socialism. Oh, that's it. They're socialists because it's in the name. You know how like PragerU also did a video saying that, well, actually the Nazis are not nationalist even though it's in the name, but they're socialist because that's the name. You know, that kind of ridiculous two-faced. What do you expect from conservatives? But anywho, I really just wanted to point this out real quick because I've seen a recent resurgence in various chats and various social media, people trying to assert that the Nazis were socialists. I'm like, no. They really weren't. Apparently these people that are pushing this narrative either don't care about historical accuracy, or they're not familiar with the concept of mislabeling something to garner more support from people. Call yourself socialist, garner support from workers, you know? Or they're not really familiar with the concept of lying. People lie to gain support. People lie to push their agenda through and get the support to make it happen. But I guess some people out there don't really seem to be familiar with the concept of lying. You know, they want to act like they're great debaters or some shit like that. But anyway, I thought I'd put together a little analogy. Again, it's just an analogy on how Nazis are not socialists. But anyway, but before I get into it, I want to say a little disclaimer. Whenever I talk about capitalism, or people who think are capitalists or want to do capitalist action, I'm not trying to say that people who are capitalist cheerleaders or advocates for capitalism are Nazis, because I'm going to draw some comparisons. I'm not trying to say that. I understand most people, they're just trying to work, raise their family, survive, get by, and the fact of the matter is, in order to be a capitalist, you have to own the means of production privately. You have to privately administer how it's ran, that sort of thing, to be a capitalist. But even capitalist advocates, they think they're capitalists, but they're just capitalist advocates. They don't actually own the means of production, but they think they're capitalists. So whenever I criticize capitalism and draw comparisons between economic models that are used between certain groups, I don't want people out there to insinuate, oh, is this socialist trying to say I'm a Nazi? No. Are you? I'm kidding, but seriously. Anywho, I want to make this cheesy little cartoon thing here to sort of explain my point as an analogy. Now let's say you got this guy, right? He wears the shirt, says, hey, that says on it, I'm a vegetarian. He goes around professing to everybody, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a strict vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian. Hell, I'm a national vegetarianist. But anyway, but the truth of the matter is, even after he tells pretty much everyone that he can, people realize that the guy eats meat. He's a meat eater. Not necessarily exclusively, but he's a meat eater, which means he's no longer vegetarian. He's an omnivore, but he's not a vegetarian. But people like myself might try to point out to people, like, he isn't a vegetarian, he eats meat. Therefore, he's not a vegetarian. Oh, but it says so on his shirt, and I think I believe him. Where's your proof at? I don't care. It's proof that you have is fake news. It's Der Lügenpresse, which Der Lügenpresse in German means fake press. In case you don't know, a little dig at some people. But so anyway, so you got this guy going around talking shit. He's a vegetarian, but he eats meat. He's not a vegetarian. This is dictionary definitions. That's the standard I go by, or try to go by best I can, because different dictionaries have different takes on definitions or whatever. But anyway, so now you got to see the analogy between that and what the Nazis did, especially Hitler's Nazi Party, when he got into power, and after he kicked out the left-wing element of his party in the Night of the Long Knives, and yeah, he privatized industry, privatized railroads, privatized public services, socialist don't want to privatize any fucking thing. If someone professes they're a socialist and they want to privatize, I mean, really, the Nazis coined the term privatization. Privatize is not socialist, it's capitalist. Of the actual people who actually own the means of production. Not the workers, not the average person just trying to survive, but, you know, it's socialists don't want to privatize anything. So if you have a conversation in the future on one of these platforms or whatever, or even in public, say, listen, Nazis privatized industry, privatized railroads, privatized social programs or public programs. Those are not the actions of a socialist. Those are actions of a capitalist. Personally, I mean, you hear it all the time from the conservative Republicans who are in office. We want to privatize this. We want to privatize that. Privatize. And we hate socialism. I mean, at least they're honest about it. Versus the Nazis and Hitler using the socialist label to garner support among the workers. You know, it's propaganda purposes. Here's another thing too. Whenever people say Nazis were socialists, I don't know if they realize this or not, but they're spreading Nazi propaganda from fucking Goebbels, all right? Joseph Goebbels. They're spreading Nazi propaganda and they don't realize it. I hope they don't. I mean, I hope it's just an honest mistake, but if they... oh, maybe they're actually know that, yeah, I'm going to go out and spread Nazi propaganda. But anyway, so whenever you're in a conversation with somebody, you just keep hammering that point over and over and over. Every time they say, no, they're actually socialists because Hitler kind of promised some things, even though he didn't follow through, they were socialist. Well, what actions did he do? Did he privatize this, privatize that? And that's what he did. Keep hammering it until you become a fucking annoyance. Because when it comes down to it, no socialist wants to privatize anything. I don't want to privatize anything. I want to get us away from the privatized model. You know, as quickly as we can. It's like, fuck me. It's still coming around circles out there, and still it's rearing its ugly head. And the reason I think one more point. I think the reason that people primarily on the economic right, and conservative right too, want to try to claim that what Hitler did was socialist, or that he was socialist, because they want to put the connotation or the tinge that, hey, look, doing Medicare for all, that's socialist, and that's literally doing a Hitler, or some shit like that. That's another point too. But they have other reasons they do it too, just to be a fucking dipshit, just out there lying and just trying to muddy the waters of what actually is going around, you know. But yeah, I thought I'd make this quick video and just point it out that if you have a conversation, just keep driving home the facts that Hitler's Nazi Party had the socialist label, but they did a lot of privatization, and socialists don't want to do that. If they were really socialist, they shouldn't have privatized anything. They shouldn't have handed any public service over to private capitalist interest. And again, just one more time, if you're just a regular person who does not own a business, does not own the means of production, I'm not really talking about you when I talk about capitalism. I'm talking about the captains of industry, the leaders of industry, who, I think DuPont was one of them too, who worked with the Third Reich, and others as well. Hugo Boss, I think, did too, did design their suits and all that. But yeah, it is the capitalist private interest that I'm referring to, not the person that's just trying to survive, work a job, and raise their family or anything like that. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. I appreciate you watching. I will see you all around.